Hi, welcome back. Here we are again. In this chapter, we're going to be looking at self-inspiration and where to find it. And that's where we have to find a lot of honesty and a lot of openness. Sometimes it's a very raw and difficult emotion. And but for me, I have to say, it's helped me enormously throughout my life to find honesty within oneself. And I found that by writing lyrics, I can express myself in ways that I couldn't have done otherwise. And mainly because when I was a child, I suppose, I was taught to speak when spoken to. And that's always served me extremely well, I think, because even though I had to be quite quiet as a child, it meant my imagination could run off in all sorts of different places. But it always came back to the same place, which was me. And you have the ability to dig deep inside yourself and find something that you find challenging to write about. And I'm sure we've all got those parts of our imagination and parts of our mind that blur and become slightly off with each other. And those are the bits that are very interesting to write about. So, for instance, it's no secret that my alcoholism was a problem for me. So I used to write about it all of the time. So I wrote, for instance, a song called When the Hangover Strikes. And for me, it's one of the greatest lyrics that I've ever written because it revealed the dark places that I went to in my head. And I sort of found it very gratifying to write about my inability to communicate with other people because I was just drinking the whole time. I'm not saying you're all alcoholics or drug addicts, but there are issues that we've all got, and so therefore we can reveal those very subtly in the things that we write. So when I talk about internal inspiration, that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for, the kind of thing that is raw. And the listener, I think, appreciates that because you're being honest with them. You're saying, look, this is me, I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve and I'm trying to bring you into my life because this is my song and I want you to know about me. And that's what you should be doing. You should be telling me about you so that I can come closer to you as a writer. I think that's the right thing.
Anger is supposed to be a good emotion to craft into a song. Is that true in your experience?
Well, anger was always managed by me, so I never kind of wrote from an angry point of view. I wrote about a lot of angry people that kind of existed, but my anger's always been sort of tempered, I suppose. And of course, the great thing about being a writer, as you know, is you can create characters for yourself to live in. So I can write about an alcoholic or a drug addict, but it doesn't have to be me. I can create two people in a song. And for instance, when I'm talking about the Theresa May song, what I was talking about in a previous recording, I wanted to talk about the way life is for people at the moment, or for some people. And the only way I could kind of think about how people are angry about the NHS or they feel let down by the society that they live in is not to just say, oh yeah, down with the government or whatever, but to actually go behind the closed door of that person's life, and in this case her husband's life, and try and describe what it is like when the lights go off.
So that what you're talking about is making an imaginative leap
Yes.
into your own interior world.
Yes.
But also leaping into somebody else's interior world and imagining what it's like to be them. What about also creating a kind of a caricature of yourself and then writing about that. I know that Dr. Johnson wrote essays about this incredibly lazy person who was him, but in a kind of exaggerated form.
Well, that's a really safe way of putting it. I think it's really good to be able to create a character for yourself. In fact, that's a great idea. I think I'm going to do that. But sometimes people can see straight through that, though, if you're too one-dimensional about it. But the great thing about lyrics is you've only got 3 minutes in most cases to kind of explain your point of view or to put yourself across. But in this particular lesson, I think it's important for people just to be a bit open with themselves. And if they can't be open with themselves, then create a character that can be open with themselves. So draw a portrait in your head of somebody that becomes you. You know, it gives you the safety to hide behind that person.
Is it true generally, do you think, that best songs and stories come from negative situations? I mean, you mentioned Adele, and she's well known for being a kind of a weepy writer. She talked about her own heartache. Yeah. So would that be a good first step as well, to encourage someone to look into all the terrible things that have happened to them?
I know, it is.
And emotional sorrow.
I know, it's an interesting dynamic, because just recently I look at my life and I think, actually, I'm quite happy. You know, everything's pretty good. You know, I can't complain. There's nothing to complain about. Shit, what do I write about? You know, it's like, what can I say? You know, I'm not sleeping in the street. You know, I'm not challenged particularly by lots of different things. So I have to invent all of that in another character's life. So you know, you have to read a lot to be able to find out what other people think, I think, and listen a lot. Watch the news, which is terribly boring, but just get yourself into that other world that isn't yours. And I think I think in my dark past, when I was sort of propping up the bar here, there, and everywhere, you know, and I was hanging out with villains in the East End of London and South London, and I was sort of in a dangerous world. Yes, I wrote great lyrics, I think, because it gave me the wherewithal to go there, because I wasn't very happy, I don't think. And now I'm sort of, you know, nice house, got a nice car, sun shining, great friends, got an amazing band, great relationship with Glenn, I think, and something's going to happen. You know, the great thing is, though, you know, a person like me will think, well, shit's only just round the corner. So the trouble is, though, if you look round the corner and it doesn't come, you get disappointed. But look internally for that shit, first of all.